Section 14 is about marketing. And so before you market, you need to cover all the steps in those first 10 steps, of course, and you'll need a profile that is flawless. Okay. There were so many questions about this in the notary community that I created a how-to article on creating a marketing kit and profile, and it'll tell you step by step how to put together a profile that you can use, like a resume to hand out, or what you need to put in, what they're looking for. Oh, good. There for a second, I thought I thought my computer was going to shut down. So, goodness, I'm not sure what they've done to their website, but it's a little bit different than it used to be. Let me see if I can. Yeah, okay. That's probably not big enough for y'all to see, but this link is going to go in our chat. And again, you will receive this in your materials. This goes right through how to create a notary profile and a marketing kit. It tells you what documents you need to put together that kit that you may not be handing it to somebody, but you're going to have, every time you sit down to market your business, you're going to need to have that information in a folder on your computer desktop so you can start uploading it. Because like signingagent.com is going to ask for it, signing order asks for it, SnapDocs asks for it, and then you might get hit again for individual signing services to do it. Amrock, I think, asks for it. Well, you just need to have all this information together so you can start marketing. Now, when I say profile, what I mean is like when you put something up on Notary Rotary or 123 Notary or a signing agent, you need to have a profile. And many notaries don't know how to put together that first profile because they don't have any experience. So in this article, the one that I just shared with you, I show you what a notary profile can look like and the type of information to put in it if you're not already working. And so you start, when you don't have any experience, you start with, little lead in about yourself. I think this says, that you're responsive, that you have all the equipment that you need, outline how you are set and ready to go. And then you talk about your computer security because they want to know that too. Signing agent certifications and notary class. So see, you're going to put that you're that you have completed our course and that and the date you completed it, plus your signingagent.com certification or NNA certification, and then mention your background check and so forth, any professional memberships you had. And then down here, you put in any kind of experience that would have maybe something that you could switch over to signing agent. See, I was a legal assistant before I was a signing agent, and that helped my profile. If you do any kind of paperwork or clerical work, that'll help your profile. The other thing I did before I was a signing agent is I did mystery shopping, which puts you in that responsible situation of that you're on your own, you're an independent contractor. And so those things got me my first position without experience. I mean, my first go at it without having the experience. I feel like that it does take a little bit, but you will eventually be getting hired. Start doing general notary work. And like Jake said, do those modifications. I'm not saying that you should take them for less than you would like to, but hey, if you're breaking even while learning how to handle packages, meet with clients, get that scary, edgy feeling off of you, then you'll be way far ahead. So modifications pretty much will go to new notaries, because new notaries will take the lower fees, and they will also answer and be willing to jump in there and get it done. So that's some place you can start. And then general notary work, just put that in, when you, as you build your experience, then you put it into your profile. So, okay, I think I need to get back over here to my materials. Okay, so that is the how to create a marketing kit and profile. And I did want to show you that it is definitely in section 14 that I do see. There it is. There's that. Okay, so there it is. Yes. And so when you click on that, then you'll be able to download that to the same little resume that I showed you. Okay, back to it over here. Let's make it big again. Okay, so just understand that you've got to start somewhere. You just got to dive in and get after it. Know what your costs are. Just don't, put yourself in the hole. Just get your hands on that pen and start making some progress. You need to, when you can get 25 to 50 packages behind you, then you're going to be, then the struggle, actually, I would guess 10. If you can get 10 and do well, then you're going to start rolling. It just sort of expands. And the more you get, the better you're going to be. Now, when you get 50 to 100, you're going to feel very confident and start feeling like, okay, I'm ready for some working right under title companies. Nowadays, many notaries have been taught to just go into title companies and ask for the business. Now, maybe that works for some, but when I was beginning to work for title companies, the way that happened was that you just were really good. You never made a mistake. And, they figured that out. And then, send out some of these profiles, let them know that you're in the area and that you are glad to come in and work in-house or whatever. So, once you have that quality to offer them, and then you're ready to move on up and work directly under the critical eye of signing of title companies, because they kind of scare me still. Okay, so you need to get a Google business ad. Google My Business. Look that up. Google My Business. And so get that done and start doing mobile notary work. Okay, signing up on platforms. Use your marketing kit. You've got that. You got all that list of documents. Get that, because you're going to need those to answer all the questions or to provide the documentation of your credentials that they want. So start it right now and plan to do 5 to 10 a day until you've at least put your name out in 100 different places. Signing orders, SnapDocs, Notary Dash, Notary Cafe. That's where I would say every new notary needs to start. 123notary.com is a place to advertise your business. Many people say you could probably wait a little bit till you get a little bit more experience before you start with 123 Notary, just so that if you get called by a title company, you've got that experience to back it up. One place that I did not mention on the previous one, and maybe Jake will put this in the chat for us, Zig, that's ZIGSIG.com. I've gotten some very nice offers and taken good assignments off of that. So, and it's a platform, not an advertisement. So, 123notary.com, you're going to pay for that. I'm not sure. It's a sliding scale. It's how close you are to the top is how you are billed. NotaryRotary.com is $79 or $99 a year, but gives you a profile space and a great list of signing services that you can use. Go through, they've been rated. Go through and just apply, or just share your information. Notary Reviews is, I think she charges $100 per year now, but she has 600 companies to review and consider signing up with. Bad companies and low paying companies are listed there. So that's, I have paid my fee and I am on there, or on notaryreviews.org. Except for the TexasNotaryProfessionals.org website. If you are a Texas notary, don't bother with any new directories, especially if they're charging you, because they have no track record. So using the rated list at Notary Rotary, Notary Reviews, and 123, go through and sign up with services that are between at least 3 to 5 stars. 3 stars are going to pay you a little slower or maybe a little lower, but they're not deadbeats. And 5 stars are going to pay you fast and probably pay you a little more. Give out your business cards to all of your friends and business associates. Set up a Facebook business page, like I mentioned before, and you're going to need to do a little reading up on how to use them. I'm doing that myself right now because I know that I don't know a lot. Then when you don't feel completely lost and you're sure you can get through a signing without errors, start reaching out to title companies. And I just want to tell you that when I started, I really feel like there wasn't, and this is 15 years ago, I feel like there wasn't quite as much pressure on signing agents. I think there's a lot more detail to check and make sure you've covered it all. Then back then, I don't remember. I mean, I feel like, it takes so much attention to really work and make sure you don't miss something as a signing agent today. And like I said, I've been doing it for a long, long time, but every time, like the CD has come around in the last, I think it was 2013, the closing disclosure that we talked about. And then there's just been different changes throughout. So it has gotten more complicated, and I hope, and it's tough. So anyhow, do y'all have questions? We will be here to answer those until y'all are finished. I will have finished asking questions. I will have your certificates of completion to you within 14 days of today, hopefully like a whole lot quicker. And I'll have all the video posted within 14 days, but people don't like to wait on that. I try to get it done quicker, but I say 14 days because you never know what might come up here in my life. Something could happen. So anyway, and I do that part of it. That's my job. Jake does most of the talking and I do most of the grunt work in the background. So anyway, that is my job. And if I don't get it up right away, it'll be my fault. So we love referrals and we really would appreciate it if you can endorse us. And so I guess now, Jake, we're just going to open it up for questions. There we go.
Bring on the questions.
I'm sorry we ran a little late, but I think we got to enjoying y'all too much.
Yeah, y'all were awesome. Y'all were the best by far. So
you guys did a great job and answered all the questions as we went along. So I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful to have your knowledge and to learn from you as I kind of go out in this next step. So some of the courses are hard to manage. Some of them seem a little outdated. So to be here with you guys, as you guys are doing it, real time, real information has been super, super inspiring. And and makes me feel a little more courageous to go out in the real world. And if I was in Texas, I'd probably totally stalk you guys, but good thing I'm in Idaho, right?
Hey, you're a lady who wants to know.
Well, thank you for all that. It's encouraging to us because we spend so many late nights staying up, and then, things change, and we're trying to stay on top and ahead of the curve. So that means a lot. So thank you for being here, all of you. And Brenda's going to send those groups that we're a part of too, I believe, or you can see us. Most of you are probably a part of our social media groups, but ask there too. And we love to answer as time permits. What else I was going to say about the Ron thing tomorrow at 3:00? If any of you are interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
It is an Apple only thing, which I'm an Android, but I happen to have an iPad. I know they're trying to diversify and get that over to the Android thing. But if you do have that, you can attend. You have to already be on the platform, or you have to have an invite. And the way that works is you would need to share with Brenda and I, or whoever you want to put you on there, your phone number that's on your device. Basically, it's a peer-to-peer audio only platform. And what's nice is it's real talk, and it's just, you don't have spammers, you don't have it's a lot of the shenanigans you do with the other social media. So, but it's growing. So in the future, when they start adding it to Android, we will holler at all of you, because the other ladies that are on there are just so experienced and rich with information, and it's not necessarily newbie stuff. It's just like, hey, what have you guys learned this week? Or hey, if you want to talk a little bit about Ron and Ren, how's it work in your state? So it's called the Notary Lounge, and Michelle Riley is the person that heads that up. And I'd love to have y'all tomorrow.
Okay, so we've got several questions, and so I'm gonna start at the top. Okay, we rocked it. Just FYI, Catherine said, and Catherine lives next door to me now, so she is gonna get a little special attention. I'll bet she'll probably just be over here like banging on the door, saying, "Get out and tell me something about this." Let's see. Okay. I can't remember exactly what it was that I said that I do 5 times a week. I eat cupcakes. I don't know, but I will look into it.
It was some kind of small jobs that you do, I think.
Yeah. I-9s. Yes. Okay. All right. So does anybody have to leave right now that has a question pending? Let me just start there. Okay, good. All right, so we'll just take it from the top here. Okay. Tell me again about using a scanner in your car. How do you use the Ryobi tool, Jake?
At the bottom. Here, go to the next question. I'll be right back.
All right. Okay. All right. So I said, okay, Kim gave me Gmail. Okay. She gave me her Gmail account. Okay. Hybrid signings. Okay. I'm going to let Jake answer that for you, Conrad. Ron, now you're younger than I am. So, and I'm pretty good with technology, but there's a lot to learn when you sit down at a platform on how to do things. So to me, I would have had a hard time learning that plus learning how to be a notary at the same time. But Jake and I are midway through finishing a course on how to do it. And let me just back up and tell you that I would not do Ron's because I hated the platform process. And finally, and my mom, I had, took care of my mom. Things just had scrambled my brain again. Well, Jake just kind of said, look, you need to know how to do this because we're going to teach a course on it. And I said, well, then teach me. And he did. And sometimes, he says, I get long-winded, but, he would tell me, he'd say, okay, now then they're going to see this. And then you need to tell them that. And I was like, geez, is he ever going to get to the point? But you know what? Every little detail that he told me, I needed to know. And so I feel like I had the best teacher in the world. And even though I don't think he's perfect some days, I did learn from the best. And he helped me, Conrad. So I really think that Jake could get new people through it on the SignIX platform. I do. But I'm just saying, you know, because I'm a little slower on the uptake of new technology these days, it took me a little while, but I'm pretty good. You saw how that I fumbled around with the share button, and honey, I've been doing that now for 3 years. So go figure. Okay. Jake, I want you to ask, okay, did you have any other questions about that, Conrad? Okay. Jake, hybrid signings, do we need the electronic commissions to do that? That's a state thing, isn't it?
Depends on what state you're in. I don't know if anyone's in Colorado. Colorado, it's 3 separate commissions. Many states, you can do that as a traditional notary because you're still meeting the person in person. You just happen to be signing electronically through a platform. The remote online is a whole different ballgame. Almost every state, that's a separate commission. But there are a few that the e-signature or the electronic notary is its standalone commission, but not many. So you'll have to check. If you're in Texas, you can do electronic notarization because they're still in person. About the RON, if you were to go online and venture about it, a lot of people will talk about it because it's the newest best thing. People who are on the platform where the work is provided to them usually are just having to click and sign, meet the people, and they go about their merry way.
Okay, so that's a good deal for new notaries, like notarize.com.
Right. But you have to still be rehearsed in when you should reject the certificate, and I think they give you a library you can choose and all that, but usually you're handling single documents or a small batch. I have done complete loan packages, and I'm going to give you just a 10-second spill. Anything that could go wrong, I have experienced it and incurred it with zero help, because these platforms are all engineers. Most of them are not even commissioned notaries. And trying to explain to engineers, well, I have a loan officer here breathing behind me and a realtor over here breathing behind me, and one signer's in Egypt and the other signer is in the UK. The struggle is real. I promise you, if you want to take that course, you're going to learn a lot. And I mean, I've been there, done that, been through the swamp and back. And so I say that with pride because there was no help. And that's just as well a year ago on one platform. And plus I have 3 county clerks that I had to help through. And some of my documents are actually part of their training material. So I could talk all day about Ron, but I'm just going to cap that right there. I'm passionate about it, but there is no training out there from anybody that can take you to the streets and back.
And you know, it's a lot. It's not as easy as like just meeting somebody on Zoom and saying, okay, just click it, because you know, there's just and what the big deal is getting them identified through KBA analysis. And my son came to hang some ceiling fans and stuff for me on Thursday. That morning, he wasn't going to be there till noon. Early that morning, I get a call. I'm in Mexico. I'm a citizen. Can you notarize one little document for me? You betcha. Well, it took all morning. You know, I took his payment. It was one little document, but he couldn't pass KBA. And I didn't understand why not. And he didn't understand why not. Well, as it turned out, he had not lived in the United States for so long. He didn't have a credit history, and they've got to have a credit history. And you don't find these little things out until you've already put in, you know, half the day. And then he said, okay, well, that's okay. I know this guy, he will be able to get me passed. Well, the guy was 84 years old. But he was very, you know, he was with it. But, you know, as I'm a little bit slow getting around on share and all this, share my screen, this poor guy, he was really trying hard to to upload his credentials because I could use him as a credible witness to identify my original signer. So 4 hours later, my son walked in. I said, "Sir, I'm sorry." You know, I tried to refer him to another notary, knowing my time was getting short. But he said, "No, I'd like to stick with you. We'll get this guy on the phone. On the Zoom." And we did. But anyway, 4 hours later, I got that document signed. And, but it is just experience that's really what you need on this run, because you learn when to hold and when to fold. Okay, that's enough on that.
When to cry, when to mute, when to duck. All right. So the question about the Ryobi, this is the top part which you'll get. And then it's just the battery, like a drill that you would have or a saw. It's the same brand. And it just snaps in there. And then what's nice about these, it'll tell you the battery life. I don't know if that's, let's see. It all lights up. And it just Skinner plugs in there. There's a button on top. It should turn green. There we go. And yeah, I mean, you could use this to charge your phones, your tablet. This will also do a laptop too. So, I mean, the battery was probably about the same price as this, but usually you can get them on sale. But even at full price, it's better than all those YouTube videos, people hardwiring their vehicles. And then the insurance person says, "We're not paying your fire claim because you installing this violated your insurance binder." So this, it works. Now this does not do laser printers. Don't go too crazy on me. But just, the scanner. And like I said, people love it. It makes your life so much easier.
Next question. Does anyone use scanning apps on their phones to scan docs?
A lot of people do. Hiring parties do not like that. Jake does not like that, because no matter how good it looks on your phone, by the time it comes over, it's cropped. I can see your finger. I can see you showing some leg. I can see that you got the heat on 75 degrees. But what happens is a lot of those apps, you have to get it to where it puts all like multiple pictures, it puts them in PDF, and you deliver one final PDF. Now, when you're in a pinch, you tell the hiring party, "Look, I can't get them to my office at this time. I am willing to do this on an app on my phone. It should be of decent quality, but it's going to have a little bit of whatever." If you're down with that, I'll be happy to do it. Again, give them options. But when the notaries are like, "Oh, I can do scan backs, this and that," I'm telling you, one page is this way, one is like this, one's got black on the side, and it's not pretty until you see it. And then, but that's my take on it. I know Adobe Scan has one. I think it's getting a little better.
Pretty good.
What's the other one that they use? What's the popular one? I kept saying WhatsApp, but that's not it.
No. Okay. We have a question on hybrids, Jake. You've done hybrids, and I want Ty to tell us about this piecemeal in the Ron software. So, Jake, you've done hybrids. What did you do? I mean, what are those like? Because I never did them.
So usually, well, it's a good niche to get in, because your hiring party that does them usually has that good book of business with that same lender. And so you're going to need either a touchscreen convertible laptop, an iPad, or just something that's touchscreen. The hiring party should give you instructions. Sometimes you log on a website. Each signer has to look on their phone because they get a secure PIN for that transaction. You get a PIN, so you have to have access to your email. And then they all vary because there's not any like 2-3 big platforms out there. I mean, lenders could have their own proprietary one, but in the gist, it's just going to ask questions. Then once they put it in, it'll have them draw their signature, and then it'll ask you your commission number, things like that. So basically, they review, they touch the screen, they sign it. At the very end, you notarize. You just duplicate your same journal requirements, your same ceremonies. And then sometimes, while being a hybrid, usually the note and the recordable documents are still printed. So you're doing half electronic and the remainder is wet signature and wet notarization. But at the bottom line is that people are still in front of you face to face on the same location.
Okay. Tiny scanner is one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Robinson wants to know if he needs to order some acknowledgement and jurat certificates. And I told him he could, or he can type his own. It's just up to you. I've never bought any. I always just type my own. So let's see, Ty, can you tell us about this notary who's piecemealing her software, please, ma'am?
Yes. So, and I think she's from Texas, or she's in Texas, but I just saw one video on it, and I knew I tried to reach out to her, and she kind of gave me vague information, and then I didn't hear anything else. But I reached out to her on LinkedIn because I didn't know how else to get a hold of her. But her name is Phyllis Trailer, I think, or Trailer or something like that, and I saw a video that she did once where she did not want to. She did not want to use the wrong platforms. And I'm the same way. If I could find a way to like put everything together and make sure I'm still in compliance with the security requirements that you need to do RON, because that's really what my business model is. It's RON, but I have not been able to find a platform that I'm happy with, or a company that sells the software that I can license for a good price. So what she does, she had like several different things that she uses. Like she uses, I forget, I think she calls it EDR, ED something, where that allows you to, that covers the requirements for the identification, like IDing the customer. And then she has like, she used Airtable for the, what do you call it? For recording.
Journal.
And I think she said, I don't know if she uses Zoom. I wouldn't use Zoom. I would use something like Microsoft Teams or something. I know Zoom, they don't allow that in Florida, but she uses a different video. I think she uses Zoom. I don't know if you're allowed to use Zoom in Texas, but she's a Texas notary. And she has everything she needs to be in compliance with the software or the security guidelines that you have to have in order to do RON, versus like buying that whole, the LexisNexis. I even looked into LexisNexis, but their licensing, it costs a lot to license their software, their security software for RON. But she piecemeals everything, and her name is Phyllis Trailer. I don't know if she's doing training on it, because she mentioned the several different things that she used to cover the identification, to cover the credential analysis, to cover recording and storing the electronic. She covers all of that, but she didn't go in detail. And then I've been searching for like the piece parts.
I'll tell you what, Jake and I, we stay so busy on it. I think that would drive us crazy trying to piecemeal it. So we use, Phyllis is one of our esteemed, she's our colleague. She's a trainer. She is amazing. And she is with us on Clubhouse tomorrow. She and Michelle Riley, and Jake and I. So we know Phyllis, if she says it's good enough, then it's good enough. I can tell you that. So.
Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering if you knew, because again, she was really vague and this was a YouTube video. I have never had a chance to meet with her or take any of her courses. I'm very selective with who I take courses from, even if someone's knowledgeable, because I know you're very smart, Jake's very smart, but there's certain things that attract me to people, like my personality, and then there's good people out there, but I'm not willing to also pay for courses. There's certain things I will gather from them, but not really go through their courses. So that's something that I would like to do with her, but I don't know if she has just one course on the piecemeal software or security features that she uses, or if it's something where I have to purchase a course where I go through other things that I wouldn't be interested in, because I'm just more interested in that particular piece with her, because she's the only notary I know of that was able to piecemeal everything, and she can do Ron that way. I know
Yeah.
she does a lot of general notary work that way, but I don't know if she does the real estate transactions.
Well, we use signix.com. Jake and I do. You pay $250 for your year license, and that's the initial outlay. And then we pay $10 for one notarial act, and then we are allowed to charge up to $31 for one notarial act and one signer. I feel like you can't beat the price of Signix. They never charge you more than $60 for a transaction. And, for me, it's just easier to use that than to, Jake and I are plenty technology, we know enough about technology to do it, but it's like, why? Because it's, once it gets all packaged up, that's just the way, that's our take on it. But we certainly did look into it, but the pricing, it just was like putting it together and.
Yeah.
So
okay, so it's just better to just find someone to license from. And my thing is, I don't want to have to pay to notarize. So that's what's keeping me from a lot of the platforms I've researched, because you're paying to notarize. So it's kind of like, okay, this is really more than me paying for the license for the software. Now I'm also paying to notarize and do my job. That didn't make sense to me. So
yeah, Notarize, I think, hires people without requiring them to pay. And then you make a minimum amount, but it's one way to make money while you're not doing anything else. You can sign on and sign off when you want to.
Okay, that's true. All right. Well, I'll keep looking, or I'll look into Signix.
Okay. So that's the name of the platform. If we have a link, actually, I don't know where it is right now, that actually gives us credit for and pays us a commission, but go look at it and see what you think. Let's see. When you do a scan back in the car after signing, Jake, how do you do that? You're the master. You tell us.
It's the same process if you do it at home, but since I do it through the app on the Epson app on the phone, it limits you at 100 pages for a PDF. So I kind of break the package up. I kind of put all like the core documents, the Fab 5 and recordables in one. Maybe I'll separate the title company's documents, but usually over 2 or 3 PDFs. It'll save on your phone. And then from there, I just upload it on the website, and Epson has a folder that it goes to. But yeah, you just scan it, plug it into this, and usually have lunch really close by. And when I'm done with that, I'll eat lunch and check and see if the hiring party approved it.
Okay, one more question. What voltage Ryobi battery is high enough to work with the scanner?
The Ryobi, any of the batteries, they're all the same, but the ones that are durable are going to be it's the 1 Plus, the lithium plus HP, 18 volt.
Okay, so let's see. Oh gosh, okay, I pulled up a link, but it's on eBay. Who knows what that is? So the 1 Plus, and let's see. It looks like this 1 Plus. Is that it, Jake? Or can you see the chat? You probably can't see the chat. Okay. All right. Christine's asking what link is it for that service, and I'm assuming she meant the link to Signix. If she didn't, she can type it again, and I will answer. Is there an easy way to tell the difference between a title document and a lender document, Jake?
Most of the time, yes. The lender usually has the loan number reference somewhere like a barcode at the bottom. The title company documents usually has identification. So like if it's Old Republic title, you'll see Old Republic title referenced several times throughout. Usually the title company documents are grouped together, sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end. But but you'll run into them and you'll quickly know.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all we've had. Y'all will definitely, okay, somebody's interested in the wrong course. Y'all will definitely get an email from us when that is done, when we get finished, because we want to put it out there. Now, we have our next class that we've got planned right now is March the 13th. It's our commercial loan documents for notaries course. It is regularly, we give y'all $50 coupon, so you're paying $99 for that if you want to take it. We don't, unfortunately, so I think someone that took it last time thought that we would, be able to give them a list of commercial clients to go to right away. And that's not how it works. We give you a certificate of completion after we go over these 10 subjects. And we had one lady that wrote us an email yesterday. She said, I just finished the course, or not yesterday, it was the day before. And I immediately sent her certificate of completion because I had it already. She did the replays. And so I sent it to her, and that evening she wrote us and said that she received a commercial signing after providing that certificate and saying that she had commercial experience. And that's what people need to do, is when they get through with one of our courses, is to upload that and to anybody, or just email it. It's just a way to stay in touch with a client. Hey, look, I just got this certification, or I just got this certificate of completion. And eventually we will give a test, but you need to, in order to be good at teaching this, you need to do it a few times and find out what's really important. And so anyway, but we are teaching that on March the 13th. It'll be 9 to, we finished up, I think, at 3:30 on that one. So, but we talked for an hour afterwards. People just stayed and talked with us. But but you will be able to purchase it for $99 if you decide you want to go through it and do it. Let's see. I think that's all the questions. Whoa, 7 new messages. Okay. Let's see. That's not a question, but thank you, Crystal. And, oh, good. Crystal, she took our commercial class. That's great. Thank you. All right. Yes, you will be on our mailing list. And we're realizing as we go along that we need to do some that are a little more focused, like, okay, we need to do one on, that's nothing but BA documentation, because that still blows my mind sometimes. Not really, it's not that bad, but just so that we have those little bitty packages and those little differences, and we can focus on them, because that's what the people that really, want to be good, that's what they do, is they focus on those and they get that kind of training. So, thank you, Crystal. We hope we're genuine, because, okay, I'm going to tell you about when Jake and I met, and you might have already heard this. I'm going to tell it, Jake. This is just like having your mother with you, isn't it? So anyway, I had the Texas Notary Professionals group, and my friend Jake, I hadn't met Jake, and he joined the group. And so I was like, oh, good. There's a guy who's in title and escrow. I got questions for him. So I would ask questions and tag him in the group, and he never responded. And I did that. And so I was kind of getting an attitude towards him. So then he pressed in there one day, and he posts on my wall in my group that he's teaching a class at Collin College. And so I was like, oh, you are not going to advertise in my group, Mr. Never Answer My Questions. So I wasn't really feeling like that, but we just have a no advertising policy. So I removed his post, and I told him, just don't we don't advertise in the group. So he comes back and he says, oh, well, I guess all this is just it's the Brenda show then. It's not about notary professionals. And I was like, that's right. So he and I did not speak for a full year or have anything to do with each other. But then, I mean, I thought that was kind of funny. I liked the idea of a Brenda show, but he wasn't being funny. He was probably being ugly. So he says, yes, he was being ugly. But anyway, then I think he realized that after he started his own social media stuff, I think he saw, man, if you don't put some rules out there, then people will just spam your group. So anyway, that's how we met. And then we talked on the phone and we both said we want courses that teach this right here. And so we knew we had the same goals in mind, and we've been doing this together now for 3 years, going on 3 years. Or maybe it was 2 in January. Maybe that's how it was. So as far as being genuine, we're genuine people. We are not telling any tales here. Okay, let's see. All righty. A class on seller package tax forms. Okay, thank you, because Jake acts like I'm stupid sometimes when I ask him so many questions on it. I shouldn't have said that about him. He doesn't really act that way, but I know he's so patient with me. I know he's like, okay, let's go over this again. But I was in that seller signing where where I left the deed, the signature page of that deed out. They called their attorney. The attorney came so he could look over that 1099 form. So Jake, I want you to speak to that form.
Well, it's a good question, because I had an attorney yesterday on a Ron on the recorded part chew me up left and right. And then I said, look, I'm just the notary. I didn't prepare that. You could certainly fill in the blanks and just put not applicable or whatever you like to put. No, it's forcing you to sign it. So seller packages are, less page count, you're in and out. But really a seller package, you have more data entry from your signer than you do on a refi. So you kind of have to balance that out. But on those tax forms, honestly, once you do a few, you'll know what's being asked, but you literally cannot help them at all on those forms. Only thing I'd tell them, this is a 1099. The title company needs to determine the eligibility if they need to report anything. There are double negatives on these questions, so just prepare you when you read the document. True or false, sign and date the last page. But the signers will look at you like a deer in headlights. But if you help them fill out that form, I mean, you're giving tax advice and legal advice. And I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Now, some of you guys are in states where you actually have transfer tax forms that are like the cover page of the deed. And that's a whole different ballgame. That's going to be state specific. I know like the P Corps form is something everybody talks about in Florida, but if you're not in Florida, most people will never see that form. But if you're talking about like the tax implications on this form, that are a part of a traditional seller package, yeah, it's just kind of put that the very last so they can get everything else done and then have them do it. Is that the forms you were talking about? Okay.
And
Jake, for those forms, you don't actually, I have not done a seller's package, believe it or not, because all the assignments that I would get offerings for, it was just, the price was just too low for me. But so I've never done a seller's package, but you don't refer them to the lender or the title company if they're like having trouble on that form. I guess I've never seen the form, so I wouldn't know, but.
Well, it won't be a lender because these are actually the seller side. But I mean, yes, always refer, your hiring party. Usually they tell you if there's questions at the table, who should you call? Right. But sometimes the real estate agent can help them a little bit. Mm-hmm. What I always do is tell them that, this form, they're going to get a copy of it. They need to visit with their tax advisor and kind of go from there. But a lot of people just can't help them with that because they don't know their scenario. But the whole point of the form is to determine if the seller will be taxed on capital gains or not. And so between you and I, the fence post, and I wouldn't tell us to your signer, even if they mess it up, how it gets reported and if they're on the hook to pay it or not is really between them, the IRS, and their tax advisor. So if they just bogusly mess the form up, it's not the end of the world. But of course, I don't tell that to them because that's, legal advice. But
Is
Right.
this the
yeah,
one? This is the one, the 1099?
right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so
then,
that's how it looks. Okay, so basically, Jake, what you do, because I feel like I'm pretty good now with certain questions that I get. I usually get a lot of questions like, oh well, what's my homestead? And I just refer them to the
Right.
lender, and we call right then and there because I can't explain all that to them. But and that's usually buyers. But I've never worked with the seller side, and I'm wondering, once I do get an offer that is within my price range, I'll probably do a seller's package. And I was just curious to know how you handle questions like that. Who would you tell them to contact, or who would you contact at the table?
Well, the
always,
thing is that nobody but the buyer would be able to answer this, or the seller, I'm sorry.
I see.
So I don't know. I mean, eventually they just say whatever and they just put something in there, but yeah. So
just associate anything that's tax related, if it looks like an IRS form or not an IRS form, usually it's going to look for them to enter their social security number. And it's half a dozen one way or the other that it's even there. And that's a common thing. Like this one, number 3, paragraph number 3, it's asking for their tax identification number, which may or not be an actual 10. It could be their social security number, but a lot of times that gets flagged if it's not filled out. And the what I hate about this form, usually it's in there, it's just they all look different. It serves the IRS's purpose, but there's no uniform way. I mean, some of the stuff is scrambled. Sometimes it looks different, but you'll know when you see it because just based on the true and false questions.
Yep.
And then I'll also say sometimes the title company, based on what they do know, they'll check the boxes for them and just draw an X and say sign here.
And really that would be the best scenario, is if they would help them decide, but yeah.
Okay, so I guess, so basically Jake and Brenda, you wouldn't advise them to contact the title company then? It's just something they just have to know, it sounds like, on their own.
Well, if I did a signing for Jake, I call Jake. And you know what Jake does? He gets on the speakerphone with me and them, and he says, okay, well, let's just read through and see what it says. And, so I try that first, but I'm going to tell y'all something. Sometimes people just trust a man's voice more. And,
yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that, but y'all know it's true.
I agree.
And so if let me get my boss because I might not have read it right. So I call Jake and Jake just reads it through. The title company would, I don't know.
They won't know.
I don't think they would know any better. Okay. But you tell them, we can't advise you on this, but we can read it with you. So it's just a mess. I mean, but we get through it every day. I mean, get through it. Did I say anything wrong, Jake, or is that pretty straight?
No, I just kind of paraphrase a little bit, and I asked the question to them, and then they answer true or false. But they come back and say, so should I check true or false? I'll say, okay, let me ask it again a different way.
Yeah.
The first one, have you used this as your primary home at least 2 of any of the last 5 years? Well, yes. Okay. And I'll tell them before that there's double negatives in here. So it says I have not. So like number 2, I have not sold or exchanged another primary home in the last 2 years. And so if you kind of read it out loud, it kind of triggers and helps them, but
now, Jake, I do that with the borrowers too, but like when they're confused and stumped, like what you were just saying, like they'll want you to say it again in a different way, like they're just so confused. And then I'll do the same thing, but then I'll tell them you have to address it as such. Is that okay? Is that kind of like giving legal advice? Because I do that just to kind of get them to put something there. so we can get through it. But is that kind of crossing the line?
It would depend on how you answer it or how you ask it. If you're just repeating something, and even if you're kind of paraphrasing, it's when they ask a question that follows up to what you stated, and then your response would, oh, I'll check true since you said it that way. Then you could be crossing the line. But
okay.
I mean, most of the time you never really do, but you just gotta be very careful because you don't. This is what I always think of is, could they call their realtor or the lender or the title company saying, well, I filled out that form because Jake told me to. So I want to avoid anything that would let them have that idea that I influenced them. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that from now on, because I think sometimes I feel like I may be crossing the line just to try to get them to get through it. Like if they don't understand and we can't contact anyone, I just always revert back to, okay, if it's true, then you need to just address it as such, because I think that kind of doesn't cross the line, but it could.
Let me say this. If you're hired by a signing service, I would always recommend you call them first and then let them get you to the right closing team, because sometimes you're dealing with these national title companies, and if you call brand X title company, you're going to spend so much time when it's team number A, the escrow officer is not there, so they have a fill-in. So just out of respect, whoever's going to pay you your check and they hired you, call them first and say, this is our question. Can you help us, or can you direct us on who to call? And that'll save you a lot of aggravation. But yeah, let that come from somebody else, and let somebody else say, well, check this, check that, kind of pass that baton.
Jake, Laura says, could they ever get permission to keep the form, get advice from tax person, then fax back? Not really. I think that would
say that again. I'm sorry.
Okay. Could they ever get permission to keep the form, get advice from the tax person, then fax it back?
Run that through the hiring party, because like this particular document is not notarized and it's an internal title company form. So yes, they may do that. And then just in your notes, when you complete the assignment, just state IRS form 1099 was left, with Mr. Whoever who agreed to follow up, blah, blah, blah. Per the conversation with Jake Burkhalter, the escrow officer at Chick-fil-A title, CYA all the way around.
Mm-hmm. I always used to want to know who Chick-fil-A title was. Like what?
Because it sounds so good right now.
I know. And it always makes
soup.
Me hungry, but I think that he just means a generic title company.
Yeah, like brand X, brand Y, yes.
By Kim. Okay. Oh, yeah. Dogs, he sleeps under my desk when I'm doing runs and everything. And one time there was a cat on the other end of the run. It started, really loud, and Hank's like, what is going on up there? And so he's good, 95% of the time. Nobody ever knows he's here. And when he does kind of perk up, then I frown at him. Mean, real mean. So let's see. I was going to pull up the sample certificates for Texas on the SOS website and give them to Mr. Robinson.
While you do that, do you guys want to quickly see what a Ron notarized certificate looks like if it's new to you?
Yeah, that would be great.
I happened to pull two up and I thought, well, I won't show them, but these have already been filed of record, so that way I'm not breaching security. However, it does have my notary seal, so please do not copy and paste because I know where to find you. All right. This is Sign IX, what theirs looks like. And you'll notice it's got all the security features. And this is a warranty deed, so I'm not showing anything that I shouldn't because it's filed of record.
Are you are you sharing? Because I'm okay. I see that. Sorry.
So you got digital signatures, and you just click and it verifies it. And it's got my signature. You can verify. But right here is where you get all the verification. That is with Sign IX. If you go that route, you can do a signature based font. I upload mine, I own, which I seem to like. The other one is Doc Verify, which I, with no hesitation, abandoned. And this is what theirs looks like. This is the one that Dallas County used as an example because they rejected initially. Now, the only thing I don't like about their platform, they put this big security advertisement really for them. It tells you the email addresses, the barcode. A county clerk don't want all that. They want this first document right here. And so, anyways, it took a lot of doing, but I was paid very nice for this because the issues that came about. But this is the one that goes down in history as the people were super nice, but everything that went wrong, credible witness, the app crashed. And so I gladly abandoned them. And so I personally do no longer endorse Doc Verify.
And I just want to say that the reason that Jake can show that is because, number one, Dallas